That's a great way to start, huh? Excuse me. Hello. I know we need to let people know that this is actually happening, especially since it started so late. I look a little bit like a drowned rat. I also quickly shoveled a piece of cheese, and I'm trying to swallow and talk all at the same time. I apologize. So hello, everybody. Wait a beat so people can hop on. I'm going to talk a little bit about communication today. I find it's really it's interesting. I think in the age of pandemic-ville, where we went through COVID, I think I witnessed a lot of breakdowns in communication that it was like there was in some ways heightened communication because we were in such isolation. And then there were ways that communication really was breaking down more in not having as much face-to-face. And I found that there were ways that people took things that they were not really conscious, or which is part of communicating, I guess. So, for example, at one point I remember I have a personal trainer who had COVID and was still going to, he didn't feel bad, but he tested positive, but he was going to come over and still work with me. And I was like, God, no, please don't. He said, well, I'll wear a mask. I'm like, oh my God, no, seriously, no. But there was another time, same person who had been exposed to COVID, and he knew he'd been exposed to COVID, and he did come over and he did work out with me. And then he got COVID. That was actually that beat. And I was like, why on earth would you risk me? I was like, I don't even understand that. At least giving people choice in the matter. So I think that the breakdowns in communications that I'm finding more and more and more are when people just don't communicate. The breakdowns aren't in how badly we communicate, because we somehow seem to muddle our way through, but in when we don't communicate. We stop ourselves from communicating things that we're thinking and feeling, or even things that we know, for fear of, and then fill in the blank. And in this case, for him, it may have been, let's say, I'm going to make this up, loss of income, because he didn't work out with me that day. But inside of that, there is nobody out there. And in fact, there is no out there. You could be snarky about this and say, well, then you should already know. But it really is kind of like talking to ourselves. And I don't know about you, but there are times when I talk to myself and I'm not saying things quite in a honed way. And I'll fix it inside my own head. I hope you know what I'm talking about, and this resonates for you. And so I believe that we're doing that with the other people in our lives as well. And it takes something to up the level of clean, clear, authentic, like there's a realness in communication. Which can frequently feel really, really uncomfortable. And it can be uncomfortable in that in our society, we're not necessarily trained to say the things that really are there to be said. A couple of course leaders with Zoetic. Actually, they are a couple, and they are a couple of course leaders. I went through this beat where this was, in fact, I don't know, there was just a time when we weren't having as many courses, again, COVID. But I just had this fear, it wasn't based on anything, that they were just going to slip away and they would no longer be part of Zoetic and no longer part of my life. And I was just afraid. And I thought, if I just sit on this, it's not going to work. And it's not like I need reassurance per se. I just wanted it to be clean, that if they were stepping away from Zoetic, I wanted to know about it. Not that I would have liked it, because I wouldn't, but I did want to know. And so, as uncomfortable as it was for me to say, I'm afraid that you have this going on, it is still what I said. And we were able to have these incredible conversations as a result of it. One of them saying, oh, trust me, I think about it all the time. I started laughing and I said, I think about it all the time. I would guess you would too. But then he said, but he's not doing that. He just needs to know that he can have a life in addition to Zoetic. And I'm like, of course, I want you to. So that got talked through. And the other one was like, I'm not leaving ever. I might need a vacation from time to time, but I don't think I'm ever leaving. And none of that was available if I hadn't just simply said, I have this, I have a fear going on. I think that we do not communicate everything there is to communicate because we are afraid of what we're going to hear back. And we don't want to hear what we're afraid to hear. But mostly what we're afraid of hearing, that's not what comes back. So that's one piece of communicating. Just speaking up what's going on inside our heads or our bodies in terms of our fears. Another one is that sometimes we say things and the other person, hi, A. She said, I love your background. Oh, yeah, that's my backyard. She said, I love your background. Those trees are incredible. Yeah, they're actually my neighbor planted them, not me. And I get to see them, which are amazing. And hi, and I miss you. Another thing in communicating that happens that I've been seeing is that things get taken in a way that aren't necessarily how they're meant. But if we don't actually out loud communicate, I'm offended, or that hurt my feelings, or well, I don't really like the way that sounds. Do you really think that or feel that? There's no opening to clear the air. And so things get muddier and muddier and muddier, and it gets so unclean, and to the point where it can be not recuperated from. And that's not a good thing. I think we find it very challenging to walk. It's like a very narrow line between what do I let go of, what do I ignore, versus what am I operating on top of? Like, that hasn't gone away. Like, I don't feel respected, or I don't feel loved, or I don't feel honored or dignified, or whatever that is. If we really feel that way, then it needs to be spoken out loud. If it's just a moment, like if that person's having a moment or whatever, then it's easy to just let that go and say, I'm not going to harp on every little thing that anybody says. So what I'm seeing is that we make decisions based on emotional reactions to either things that people have or have not communicated. And then we live like that is fixed. There is a fixedness, and that person is this way, or that relationship is that way. Without ever giving an opportunity for love to be present, or renewed, or restored, or rejuvenated. And that kills relationships. So without giving people what we're honestly thinking and feeling, and without giving people, in terms of communicating what's going on inside ourselves, and without giving people what we're honestly thinking and feeling that are in reactions to what they may have said or done, what we're doing is killing relationships, which is just another way to say what we're doing is like stabbing the heart of the glorious angel of love and annihilating that possibility inside the relationship. And that's a tough thing because innately we do love, and we pretty much already love and want to love and be loved. When we do not communicate what we're thinking and feeling with an authenticity, we're denying that love. So part of what's there, I keep hearing the word courage, that inside of either families or workplaces or friendships or whatever other relationships we have, it takes something in the world of courage to simply say, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? And so that courage, it really comes from, as you might guess would come out of this mouth, love. Like being more committed to the love in a relationship and the love of that person and for that person and of your or my own self and for ourselves. Like loving being bigger than any other piece of it. And I think that's all I've got on this subject. Any comments from anybody? Bill. Bill says, I often wait until I have the quote unquote perfect communication planned out in my mind, which of course never happens. It's just ego and looking good. And yes, I'm afraid of screwing it up and spending a half hour cleaning it up. Ironically, all that happens is it just gets messy between my ears, but not any clearer than if I just opened my pie hole mouth in the first place. Yeah, that's it. That's really it. I think that really beautifully sums it up. So it's a choice. The choice is fear versus love, and I think it always stays that way. It's a choice. It's like, when they talk about having an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other shoulder, and which one are you going to listen to? But I think for me, it really is about having love on one shoulder and fear on the other shoulder, and it's which one do we choose? And it is choice. There's choice in the matter. So this then about communication is about choosing love over fear. Actually, over anything, but it is over fear. So choosing love. So let's maybe do a meditation about that. Go ahead and get yourself comfortable. Billy, thank you for your comment. It was wonderful. And still waiting, feeling somebody settling in. Okay. All right. Locate in your consciousness. Oh, if you're wearing glasses, take them off. And if you have anything crossed, fingers interlaced or ankles crossed or anything like that, just uncross your body. And locate in your consciousness somebody that you have something to say to. And notice what has held you back from saying what there is to say. And as you locate that, what's really going to be there is fear. Like me talking to the course leaders, and I was afraid of what their answer was going to be. But just notice that that's what's there. Not good, not bad, not right, not wrong. It's just a feeling, just feeling afraid to say what you have going on. Take a deep breath in, give a deep breath out. This time, take a deep breath in, breathe all the way to the bottom of your lungs, below those bottom two ribs. And give a deep breath out. Just let it go. And feel how you're melting into the center of your own being. Take another deep breath in, breathing to the bottom of your lungs and also filling up the back of your lungs and the sides. And give another deep breath out, releasing more and allowing yourself to go deeper and deeper into your own consciousness. Allow your mind to just land on the things that are not whole, not complete, not sealed inside of you. The people with incomplete communications, where there are wounds or hurts or anger or fear. And just let it reside that way. Notice where you may have written somebody off. Again, someplace where communications are not whole and complete. And just take a breath and let that go. Fill the entirety of your body with pure white light. As you continue to breathe gently and easily inside your own being, allow the entirety of your system to be filled with pure white light. From the tippy top of your head and the ends of your hair, all the way through your body, down to your fingertips and toe tips. And release. Let that go. Allowing yourself to resonate and vibrate as pure white light. Taking another conscious breath in. Giving another conscious breath out. Surround the whole of your body with pure white light, covering every nook, every cranny, every crevice, all of the roundnesses and indentations, the crevices and the curves. Breathing through an honest and authentic awareness that who you are is a being of pure white light, both within and without, and everything in between. Deliberately bring your consciousness into your heart from the top of your head all the way down into your heart, from your fingertips through your arms, around and into your heart center, from your back and your sides and your front. gathering from all locations of your whole body, bringing that energy into your heart center. And from the tips of your toes, all the way up through your feet and legs, up through your torso, into your heart center. Knowing in the core of who you are that who you are is love. Locate that indeed you love those people with whom there are incomplete communications. And simply allow that to be. Notice how these can come together is through communication. What is left not said or not cleaned up through saying. Notice what you might be afraid of if you were to say the things that you have to say. Would you be willing to love yourself enough to say what there is to say with the intention of restoring and renewing love as a state of existence within your own being? Courage also comes from the heart. Locate in your own heart center the courage that it would take to love yourself and that other person or those other people enough to communicate from a place of love what is authentic and true for you, and with an open end oriented toward harmony and the restoration of balance in a relationship that clearly does matter. Keep your consciousness in your heart. And inside your heart, find your way to loving yourself enough to have harmony within you. Knowing the access to that harmony is whole and complete communication. Breathe the courage and the love into your body. And breathe that love and courage out into the world. And again, breathe that courage and love into your body. Breathe the love and the courage out into the world. And gently open your eyes. Oops. Welcome back. How you doing? I will wait a beat for anybody to say anything they need to say. This is a thought-provoking meditation. Bill said, very nice, clicked out as usual. So I'll revisit it tonight. Oh, good. Okay. All right, that is it for today. I love you. Stay in communication with people. That is actually a way to be the love that you are. And we'll see you next week. Bye for now.